Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of MMA and Coffee. On this episode, it's a recap of UFC 212. Alright, so the first fight we're going to talk about is Vitor versus Marquardt.
You know what? We didn't actually talk about this at all. We usually do a little prep, maybe mention a couple things. Just say what you got to say about this, because I have no idea what you're about to say.
Okay, so my prediction for the fight was Marquardt was going to finish him.
Yeah.
And we both agreed this fight was just to see who was more done with their career. You know what? The last thing I would ever predict is Vitor winning a decision. So I'm okay. So I'm okay with getting it wrong because no one. I don't know. I don't think anyone would predict that. So I'm okay with getting it wrong.
I thought someone was getting knocked out for sure.
So I think the deciding factor, and I didn't know this in my prediction, was he went to TriStar for 4 or 5 weeks, and it seemed like, I guess they were working on his cardio and actually where he would fight a fight where he wasn't, look for the finish and then he'd be completely done in the fight. Like his style looked a little different. And the one thing I will say about Vitor, is he has runs. So he'll have moments where he looks horrible and then he kind of reinvents himself. Granted, the one time was the TRT,
the last run.
So the last run, he added kicks to his game. So I don't know, if he stays with Firas Zahabi, maybe he reinvents
fights a little bit smarter. Vanderlei prolonged his career doing that, so maybe Vitor.
Maybe he reinvents himself. Also, Vitor was going around saying that was his last UFC fight. Dana White said actually he had 2 fights, so that was his next to last fight. So who knows if he can reinvent himself, get another win, go to Bellator, get paid more. He could go on another run. Even though I think
Vitor Anderson too.
So I think Vitor should call it quits, but. And to me, he still didn't look as good. But just the fact that he won the decision. Actually, you know what?
He looked decent he fought for 3 rounds?
3-round fight.
He actually looked alright over the course of 3 rounds.
So let's go to Marquardt real quick.
Yeah.
Completely gave Vitor too much respect. Didn't pull the trigger. There was moments in the fight where neither one was really throwing anything. I feel like Marquardt easily could have just kicked Vitor just a little bit more, and he could have won a decision, but he literally did nothing. So, that's when I kind of feel like fighters should be done, when they're kind of they freeze and they don't pull the trigger at all.
Yeah, especially you're in a situation where maybe you're not done because you get knocked out all the time yet, but if you're hesitant and you're afraid to pull the trigger, that's probably going to cause it. If you're kind of unwilling to engage, why are you so unwilling to engage? Are you that afraid to get knocked out? Maybe you shouldn't be fighting.
Well, the sad thing is both fighters in their career have highlight reels of them pulling the trigger, knocking people out. So it's not they lack the ability to finish the fight. For whatever reason, mentally, they're just not in it, and to me, that's a problem when you're not able to commit to strikes.
Especially Vitor's talking about the next fight before he even fought this fight. His head, he won, but he clearly wasn't focused on this fight.
So the one thing
reason I thought he was going to lose.
One thing that stood out was basically Vitor was patient and he just counter-striked Nate. So when Nate would commit to a punch, he would counter him. And I think after that happened, Nate got hit a couple times and he was like, I'm not committing to punches because I don't want to get hit. And so then it became this stalemate.
Well, the only thing I will say, and Vitor, it might not be the most exciting style, but if he does the style, continues the style, basically I'm curious to see how it's going to work out. If he's going to keep fighting and he's going to use a safer, more kind of pace different than what we've ever seen him do before. I'm curious to see how far he can go with it. I don't think he goes up to a title again, anything.
Personally,
but,
I think he should retire, but
if he's not,
but if he's not, I will acknowledge the fact that he has been able to reinvent himself, and to me, going to TriStar was a good decision because
it looks like it.
Very easily, I thought he was going down just a road where he was just going to keep getting finished. So he definitely, I think, made the right decision.
Yeah, a lot of times the older fighters won't do that either. So the fact that he's still willing to get out of his element, out of his comfort zone, and go train somewhere and do different things, that shows he's still, it sounds funny, but maybe he's still developing in his own way. So
okay, so this is a perfect segue to the next fight because we're talking about fighters going to different training camps. So the next fight was Claudia against Carolina.
Right.
And after Claudia lost to JJ the second time, she finally decided to change camps. Like I followed some of her social media stuff, so like I know at one point she was at Greg Jackson's. So she's been, and then she has just a coach. I can't remember his name, but she has one specific coach for her, and she seems like she's looking to address the issues that she showed in the JJ fight, which is her cardio. And the reason I would say that is because in this fight she looked slimmer, and she didn't look as bulky. She looked skinnier, and I know the fight was short, so it's hard to say.
It's hard to gauge because it was so short.
But just the fact that she's showing that she knows she has to make some changes to be, and then she even said that she don't think she's ready to fight JJ. An immediate rematch. She knows that she has to fix some holes in her game. To me, that's a good thing.
Well, she did say she's the only one that could beat JJ in that division, and from what we've seen so far, I have to agree. If anyone could potentially beat her, it looks like it's her right now. She's the only one that's even come close.
I think Rose has a chance of catching JJ, but if she don't catch her early, to me, systematically, JJ should pick her apart.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Right, but
basically, the prediction, our ultimate prediction was wrong, but what we said Claudia would have to do if she did win is exactly what happened. It was a quick finish.
Right,
submission.
Right, so I thought that the first 2 rounds, she would be able to take Carolina down. I thought Carolina could if she weathered the storm, she could pull back in the third.
Yeah.
But the fight just didn't even go that long at all.
No, it was like 2 minutes, I think.
It was like 2 minutes. So basically what Carolina made the mistake of was she tried to jump back up and she gave up her neck and she didn't hand fight. So she got caught. I felt bad for her, but
I mean, she got into a grappling struggle there in the grappling game with Claudia, and of course she's gonna lose that.
Well, it's not just that though. They're fresh.
She got in a scramble and she was fresh, so it's easier to
first
submit someone.
First round fresh. They're not sweaty.
Scramble was the word I was looking for.
so first round they're fresh. They're not sweaty. She was able to catch her.
It's way easier to get submission in the first round than the fifth.
I'm very interested though if Claudia though can fix her cardio issues because I felt like in the rematch she has the tools to beat JJ, but can she keep it for 5 rounds? She needs to start preparing to fight 5 rounds.
Right. Can she do what the problem isn't that she didn't have the ability to do it, it was that she didn't have the ability to do it for 25 minutes.
Exactly. And so
if she doesn't get the quick finish, what's
right. And the thing with
what's she gonna do?
The thing with JJ is her whole background is fighting a lot of rounds, knowing how to be efficient with your energy and punches and bunches. So very interesting. So I was surprised by that, to be honest. I thought it was gonna. I wasn't expecting.
I mean, it was what we expected if she won. So
I mean,
I was expecting. I was surprised it came so easy. Basically,
right.
That's what surprised me.
She made one mistake, and you can't do that with her.
No, obviously.
All right, so main event: Aldo against Holloway.
You know what? Aldo for 2 rounds, the better part of 2 rounds, looked as good as he ever has. And towards the second one, I don't know if Holloway just had eaten a good deal of his punches, so maybe he was like, all right, I can take this. Plus, Aldo wasn't really kicking him at all. But it was weird because Aldo definitely won the second round, but I felt like this momentum shift right towards the end of the round where Holloway started feeling really confident, you know?
Right, so...
And then obviously, if you saw the fight, you know that in the third round, Holloway caught Aldo and he finished him and he won the fight.
Right.
He's the champ. So I don't feel like that's news at this point.
So... The first 2 rounds, Aldo won, and I agree. I think it was at the end of the second round when Holloway started taunting.
Started doing a lot of that.
He started taunting in Aldo's head.
Yeah.
And I know in my prediction, and we've kind of talked about this right after the fight. Basically, I thought the pressure or the pace that Holloway fights benefits him in a 5-round fight. I thought that, you know, Aldo would look great in the beginning, but could he keep that pace for 5 rounds?
Right.
And
it's hard to gauge.
So
because he got caught.
He got caught, but I think he made the mistake of staying in the pocket where Holloway's tall and rangy. And I mean, Holloway's gotten so much better that he just showed that if you make any mistakes, he could catch you.
Right.
I thought he was gonna like maybe 4th, you know.
I kind of thought he was gonna wear him down.
I thought 4th, 5th round he would kind of pick it up. Aldo would slow down and maybe some punch to the body, and he would finish him.
That's how I thought if he won, he'd win too.
Right.
A late finish. Yeah.
It was just I was surprised at how quick it happened in the third. It's kind of interesting when you look at...
I'm wondering about Aldo's chin at this point, because Conor cracked him pretty hard, and you have to wonder, and he's been hit over the course of his career.
You know what, I heard someone say Aldo's chin's gone.
How about that?
Here's what I would say. He didn't go completely out. Yeah. He took a lot of punches, and just Holloway didn't let him recover. You know, he just made a mistake, man. He made a mistake. He instead of
once one thing I will say, because we said Holloway, it wasn't really a Holloway fight. When he hit him, he turned into he looked like Holloway. Like he put that pressure on him immediately and went for that kill.
Yeah, as soon as he dropped him, he just never let him recover.
It was a Holloway fight after that.
Right.
It was all him.
With the beginning, there was a big fill out process. I think,
and that benefits Aldo on pretty much in every fight he's ever been.
Right. So there was a big fill out process, and then. I think once Max started getting his tempo, his range down, then he got more confident, and man, it's just crazy to me to see his progression, because we've seen him fight lesser fighters
and struggle more,
and not do that.
Yeah.
So I think some of it was stylistically.
Still won though.
Right. Well, you know what I mean. As far as like we've seen him go in decisions against people who aren't as good as Aldo. I think Aldo made the mistake of trying to finish Holloway, and if he doesn't do that, he's screwed. He really is screwed. That's a bad game plan. Yeah. And then the fact that he threw 0 kicks.
That's the weirdest thing to me. Aldo's gotten away from that. He has maybe the best kicks
we've ever seen
in MMA, like ever.
Look,
you know, especially leg kicks.
The thing that Holloway has advantages of is his volume and punches, and he moves a lot and he changes stances. Yeah. And that's why he didn't change many stances. But for me, if I'm Aldo, I kick his legs, I slow him down to my pace, and I beat him that way.
Right.
If you're sitting there trying to finish him, and you don't, and he's still there, and he's taunting you afterwards, and you go to take a breather, he's not going to let you do that breather. You know, like, there was plenty of chances in the Frankie fight with Aldo where Aldo could sit back and catch his second win, and Frankie kind of just let him.
Yeah,
Holloway wasn't going to do that, though. Yeah. I think that was the big thing, was he sensed like, oh, he's slowing down a little, and he took advantage of it. That split second, he seen him kind of not
go for it like
Right.
he had been. Yeah.
Yeah, and also
He
this is
sensed the chink and he took it. He started hitting that chink until
Yeah.
it broke. You know?
so another thing is when Aldo was hitting Holloway, Holloway was moving backwards and
Yeah.
away from the punches. When Holloway hit Aldo, Aldo was completely flat-footed.
Yeah.
He didn't.
That's true.
He didn't move.
Yeah.
He was in the pocket ducking his
He
head.
didn't roll with it at all.
He was just in the pocket moving his head and he got hit. So.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the big thing from this fight
It's a pretty good fight overall, though.
It was a good fight.
It was if that was the end of an era, it's kind of a classic fight that's gonna be. Honestly, it's a fight that's probably gonna be a little historical looking back on it.
I don't know,
You know?
where Aldo goes from here. Maybe a rematch with Cub.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's weird. This is the first time in his career where, since maybe the first fight with Cub, where you didn't really know what Aldo's next fight was gonna be. You know, where he doesn't even really know. So that might make sense. In one way, it kind of reminds me like when Anderson lost the belt. He kind of felt like, all right, I can do what I want now. So Aldo
Right.
can kind of do. He can take a fight. He can take a fight with just about anybody, whatever he wants at this point.
I think
He could fight at 155.
I think
if he
this
felt
is
like
the
it,
perfect
do
example
whatever.
where, in my honest opinion, if he wants to stay at the top,
Yeah.
he almost needs to do what Claudia did. Who
Go train somewhere else.
I think he's kind of learned as much as he can from there,
Yeah.
and he hasn't evolved.
Well, I agree. And Connor said that like what 2 years ago.
He said that
It's kind
about
of
him.
proved right.
It now it's kind of showing
Oh,
off
yeah.
like
Uh,
he got him this far, and if he wants to stay at the top, he's got to keep getting better. He can't
Right.
just keep doing like
I just wonder how bad he still wants it, because I've seen his interviews and I know they're translated and stuff, but he just.
That's why I'm
I
like-
don't see the same fire he used to have.
Yeah,
honestly. I think he's burnt out.
yeah, I'm just like, where do we go?
Maybe he
from
should
here?
take a break.
Yeah.
You know, he's not obligated to defend a belt anymore, so
Yeah.
maybe he should just take a break, go train, he needs to have fun again. Is what it seems like to me. Maybe I'm guessing. Maybe I'm just looking in too much into it.
Well, that's why I think he
but,
should go
you
to
know,
a different gym because he's going to the same place over and over.
Yeah, it's gotta
That
be
gets
repetitive.
old.
Yeah.
And also, they're like, how much can he learn from the same people?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that was the thing where Claudia was like, I need to add new stuff. Like, if I want different results, I got to do something different.
Right.
I can't keep doing the same stuff and expect the fight to be any different.
The thing I'm excited for now is I'm looking forward to Holloway and Frankie Edgar.
So-
That's a fight that's got me kind of like, all right, I like Frankie's style. Stylistically, I think it makes a good fight.
So the funny thing about this was when Max goes, "This is the blessed era," and I instantly thought of Joe Rogan
Machida,
going,
yeah.
"The Machida era," because his first title defense, most likely, in my opinion, should be Frankie,
And there's no guarantee.
and Frankie is the worst matchup for him.
Yeah.
Max is basically beaten. It's kind of funny because if he beats Frankie, most of his
I think it gets easier down the road.
well, I'm saying most of his defenses are going to be rematches
Yeah.
because he's fought almost everyone in that
Yeah.
division.
It sounds weird, and I know because everyone wants to fight him nowadays, but a Max and Connor rematch would make a lot of sense, especially if Max gets through Frankie. Now, I don't know what the hell Connor's going to do. That's a whole circus right now that we can make a video about just that shit. But, you know.
So
That would actually be a fight that, like, no hyperbole, I would be interested in seeing. Whether or not it'll happen, who knows.
I think they're both completely different
Yeah.
fighters. I would love to see that, but I think what would have to happen is later in Max's career, he has to move to lightweight.
Probably.
I think he would. I think he's still young. The older he gets,
Yeah.
he'll start weighing more. I could actually
He's
see.
what, 24, 25?
Yeah, so I could actually see at some point, out of anyone, he has the potential to almost do what Conor did and be a two belt
Yeah,
champion.
it might be slower, but
He has the potential just because if we've watched how much, like, he's been fighting for since he was so young, and he's kind of came up to this point. But it's just so funny. He said the blessed era. I'm like, man, Frankie, look, Frankie very easily could
Yeah.
take him down
Yeah.
and do what he did to Yair, to Max.
hey, but the confidence to win is a good thing. He needs
Right.
to believe in himself,
So-
just not to the point of arrogance. It's
Right. So
different. There's a fine line there.
So Max is on, is it 7 or 8 fight win streak now?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, like that was the one thing why I was saying I thought he was gonna finish Aldo was because his confidence after finishing Pettis had to be through the roof. Like when
Well,
fighters,
if it wasn't then, it is now.
like when fighters are on a streak,
Shit.
right? So when fighters on a long winning streak, their confidence is very high. Think of John Jones, how he would do things and commit to strikes that other people wouldn't if they were on a
Anderson
losing streak.
Silva in his heyday had the, no one really, even John Jones doesn't quite have the air that Anderson did at the height of his reign, you know.
Right.
And so I know what you mean though, like you feel like you can't be beaten, and you know.
So I think we'll end this
Certain air you have about you.
Right, so I think we'll end this video with what Holloway said about Conor, because people were asking him about him, and I hope I get that year right. Was it 2015 when Conor beat Aldo?
Yeah.
Okay, so
They fought in like what, 14?
so he's
Something like
well,
that.
he goes Conor was the 2015 featherweight champ. He goes, I'm the 2017 champ. He goes, he's the type of fighter that wants to move on to the next bigger, better thing. And he goes, good for him. He goes, but I'm the champ of this division.
He's staying in it.
He goes, if he wants to come down and fight me, we can. But if not, it
Well,
is
I
what it
mean,
is.
let's be honest, and I don't want to make this about Conor at the very end, but he knows everyone wants to fight Conor. He's not going to chase that. He doesn't. He's not interested in chasing that. He's got to be deep down inside because he dropped that fight to him. But he seems like a realist. If he wins fights, then people would demand it. But right now, it's not demanded. So if he beats Frankie and starts getting a string together, people would demand that fight. Right now, it's kind of
Well, it's
not
also a situation where the better Max looks, the better Conor looks,
Yeah.
which is
Especially if
interesting.
he stays winning.
Only
If
thing
both
I would
keep
say
winning.
though is that's not the same Max, and Conor's not the same Conor.
That's what
That's why I would
yeah.
like to see the rematch, just because it would be great. But I think the only way that happens is if Max goes on a run and then he moves up weight and he
And
somehow.
who knows what if Conor's even gonna fight again?
We don't even
knows?
know. We don't even know about
So
that.
anyway.
So it just, yeah, a bunch of what ifs.
We could make a whole video, and probably should, just for the clickbait about Conor McGregor and what the hell he's gonna do. So anyway.
All right. So this was a pretty long video. We'll
Yeah.
wrap it up. All right. So that's what we thought about the event. What'd you think? Agree? Disagree? Let us know. Comments below. Subscribe.
Yeah.
See
Whatever.
See you next time.